everybody. Welcome to DC Time. I'm Dean.
I'm Chris.
Thanks again for joining us. Like the last few shows, kind of been all over the board here a little bit. We're going to discuss maybe a verse or two in Colossians. Just give some of our thoughts here, let you in on our conversation today. Something I want to start out by saying, what I've been thinking about a little bit last few days is thankfulness. Actually, very, very thankful at a time when there's so much to be uneasy about, it seems like, within myself or within this world we live in. We know we're in this evil world, and there's a lot of suffering and a lot of hurt within ourselves, and we see it in other people. And it just is off the charts. It never stops. We know that's the plan, right? It's all about contrast, right? I mean, we're talking about things we kind of struggle with. I struggle with that. Some of these concepts even, like, what? Like, okay, I get it, totally get it. It's like, it's got to be more, right? There's more. I think there is so much more. Anyway, what I'm thankful about is something that I'm not conflicted about anymore, that I realized I was for so long in my life. The idea that God, our Father, creator of all, God is love. Not conflicted about that. Very thankful about that. That He is love. I don't have to talk in circles about it if someone doesn't believe that. Most people don't really believe that. That's fine that they don't believe it. I don't have to, have all these questions about, well, like I used to, have to try to answer, well, if He's love, then why is most of His creation burning in a mysterious chamber of fire, and they're going to be miraculously kept alive and suffer
For the purpose of torture. Yeah.
just to torture and suffer because of why? All the reason because they were born into this sin-filled body and a sinful world, and they had no choice in the matter, had no hope, and somehow He's going to lose most of His creation. But then He's also, well, I said I don't see any of that. It's not in Scripture.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit with a God of love anyway. And now I'm thankful to see that, none of that's in Scripture. And so, anyway, I just want to open with that. I'm very thankful that of all the things I don't understand, all the things I do get conflicted about, not conflicted about my Father being a Father of love. And His plan is going to work out for the good of everybody. Which is a really huge truth. Huge truth. I didn't used to believe that.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful about that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I mean, I didn't even bring this up, but you saying that, I'm a good one to encourage others when they're struggling with certain things or whatever. I know that Father has blessed me in a way in which I just have a natural inclination to try and encourage other people in whatever their circumstances are. And one of those, I've heard people talk about, they don't want to study. They don't want to, they aren't making time for looking in the Word stuff. And I'm one of the first, don't worry about it. There are seasons of your life, just like the seasons God has set up in nature. And there are times when you are still, and there's time, I know all the ways to tell a person it's okay, you're okay, that you're in a place where you're not feeling it and stuff. Do you know who's the hardest person to tell that to? Yourself. I've just been out of touch, it feels like, for at least a couple of weeks now. Just, I've got my same books and stuff around and just not having the same inclination to jump in and start looking stuff up. It's just the way it has been for the last couple of weeks. And just what you said, I ended up looking up something this morning on contrast, and so, again, that's what I was kind of looking at it for. It might be for a period of time for me to just rest and take in what I had been looking at and so forth. And maybe it's preparation for something coming, So I have to do that even for myself, and so I appreciate what you said about being thankful for something, and that's kind of what I'm working through as well. So,
well, let's go to the other word we was going to talk about, salt. Which I think we've done that before.
I think maybe we have.
I don't know. I feel like there was a title of a show. Something like that now that I said it. You want to read that in Colossians?
Colossians 4. I think we were going to read 1 through 6. Masters, tender that which is just and equitable to your slaves, being aware that you also have a master in the heavens. In prayer, be persevering, watching in it with thanksgiving, praying at the same time concerning us also, that God should be opening for us a door of the word, to speak the secret of Christ, because of which I am bound also, that I should be making it manifest as I must speak, in wisdom be walking towards those outside, reclaiming the era, your word being always with grace, seasoned with salt, perceiving how you must answer each one. We just were looking over this just a few minutes ago, and of course we appreciated the your word being always with grace, seasoned with salt, perceiving how you must answer each one, and looking at what that means. I went to Google and put seasoned with salt. The very first thing that came up, well, we have seasoned with salt designs. I don't know what the heck that is. Seasoned with salt peppery. But just a little further down it says, why does Paul tell us to season our conversation with salt? He means that our words should be tasty and delightful to people who may hear them. Our words can also be used as a preservative to build and to strengthen relationships. That's what I was thinking of salt as, a preservative. Mm-hmm. But we do add salt for flavor,
right.
Taste, So it was interesting. Of course, I was all about our words should be with grace.
Yeah.
We should be extending grace. You said a beautiful thought was be thinking of the other person you're talking to. Be thinking of them first.
Well, right.
That's the with grace. That's the where are they at?
Yeah, exactly. And wouldn't that be wonderful to be able to do that?
That would be your first move.
I'm not doing that. You don't see that all the time. But Paul here is saying these things like, oh yeah, of course. Why not? Why can't we see that all the time? And why wouldn't that be the thought? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't we want that? Or to truly see someone where they're at, or find out where they're at, because we probably can't see, mm-hmm. exactly what they're going through. But to have the patience, or find out where they're at, or where they're coming from, or why they might be saying something that might seem so offensive to me, or whatever. But why not? I wish I had the perception to know exactly what to say to help someone.
Yeah,
that's the heart. Some of these things I'm thinking, well, why can't it always be like this? Why would I always be? Mm-hmm. All my words be seasoned with salt here?
Yeah.
But I don't. You don't see that all the time.
No, and
it takes the smallest thing, and all of a sudden I'm distracted, or I'm a little off kilter.
Yeah.
And now here I am in this relative evil world, and within this evil setup here.
Right. And as we were talking, and as I was looking at this, I said to you the last part of that statement, perceiving how you must answer each one. And that was troublesome for me. I'm looking at that, perceiving how you must answer each one. And I go to, and of course I referenced this last week, and I think it was Rhonda who said, I'm not the only one who argues with people who aren't there. But I started thinking of how I, in my mind, imagine a person talking to me about something, and I'm perceiving, how they might put me on point, ask me a question, and then how would I answer them? I would hope that as I move forward, my first thought would be to go back and say, okay, I'm going to answer with grace and words seasoned with salt. I'm going to, like Dean, I'm going to think about who they are, where they are. Let me be deaf to insinuation or anything sarcasm that I may be receiving back from them. let
That'd
me
be great.
wouldn't that be great if they could do that and you come
not?
right
Why
back
not?
with a warm, oh, isn't that terrible when it feels like it's that way or whatever,
And mean it.
and mean it. I mean, yes.
I know.
I think in the commentary on this, it was kind of interesting. Knock only in his commentary, he makes a comment about verse 2, but we think it addresses further down than just verse 2.
He didn't really explain. His commentary is not getting into he's more explaining why he's locked up in prison. He's writing.
Yeah.
Instead of just speaking these things.
Right.
But we like this opening line, the great burden, just to think about these thoughts. We love doing this, to try to go back.
Put yourself in that person's place. My goodness. Yeah.
Try to think what might have been going on in Paul's mind at the time, during this time period. The great burden on the apostle's heart at this time was the transcendent revelation of Christ and his secret glories which had been committed to him. So that's an awesome thing to think about. Say, yeah, look what he was going through. He had all this in him. So then Knox goes on to explain why did he publish his message when he was a prisoner at the court of Rome. Why is he doing it? Then Knox thinking, well, if he had been free, he'd been out there talking about
been preaching, been in the synagogues, been preaching wherever.
So
telling people.
He's going on to make the point that he's writing these things down.
And the writing
during this time,
right? And the writing becomes immeasurably more effective because we now have it.
And then back on like Chris's point, the perceiving what should be said at any one time, and how you were looking at that, and how you do that anyway, but then even doing that sometimes was a stumbling block, or can be a stumbling block.
Yeah.
Is how you would look at it. Well, I'm already doing that, but then that's getting you tripped up or something.
Yeah.
And we all have our different, quirks about us, or our different personalities, or how we reason these things out. These conversations that you're having with yourself, with other people, in your head, it's all by design. It's all, I think, it's so much for us. That's what I'm learning. There's so much to these situations that, it's for my learning anyway. It's not so important to say the wrong or right thing. Yeah, that's not the big importance. But I still would err on, well, look at what Paul's saying, though. He's not saying, well, this doesn't matter. Look how he's using what you should do with your words and grace, and season with salt.
He's hoping God will open a door for the word.
Yeah.
To speak the secret of Christ.
To those on the outside, to those that are going to be like, you're not so.
Yeah, exactly.
To those that you're going to perceive as your enemy or something.
Right.
Which they're not. They're not.
And it's funny because, a year ago, I did have an answer from these people. The answer I was perceiving was just as sarcastic back. It was in a different way. It was meant to poke fun at your perception of the truth.
Yeah, I agree. Exactly.
And we've gone 180 from that, and now we're like, oh my gosh, what does that do?
Well, we recognize it.
We recognize,
now.
yeah,
right,
exactly.
You recognize, like, holy cow, right? When that's happening, and then, like I said, I had all the ways to justify it. Well, I'm telling them the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you recognize the overwhelming, grace.
As if I know all this.
Yeah.
Truth to tell them, or as I would know more than them somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy
right.
the way I look at it now.
Right. Well, and that's why words seasoned with salt go so much better. So, there are ways in which we can share these truths with people and not offend and not isolate, all the time, just what Dean said, all the time knowing it'll be God who opens eyes. It'll be God who turns on the faith button, at the exact right time for that individual. We talked about how neat it would be to be in the presence of someone who would all of a sudden get it. Mm-hmm. That'd be cool, But I'm better with let it be God's timing, not mine. So that's what my prayers sound like now. So that's what I had.
All right. That's good. Some good thoughts there. I appreciate it. So we appreciate, again, all your guys' comments and thoughts on these matters. That's all we're trying to do. Like I said, here, just share a little bit, hopefully encourage, maybe get somebody to look at something or say, oh, I'm not thinking of it that way. And not that we're right or anything. It's just give a different perspective, perhaps, to help you on your journey.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, love you all out there, and see you next time.
See you real soon. Bye.